everyone, it's Joanna Hersey here, and welcome to my studio at UNC Pembroke. Today we're going to talk about tone, specifically on the tuba and euphonium, but by extension on all brass instruments. And I've divided it up into 4 areas of thinking for better brass tone. The first area is posture. I think probably the most important of the 4. The posture, how we're holding the instrument, as well as the angle we're holding it at. Posture is tricky on the tuba, especially because the tubas come in so many different sizes. We come in so many different sizes, and compared to the other instruments, there's a lot more variation contrasting the body size to the tuba size. So this is my larger C tuba, and you can see that I prefer sitting the tuba straight on the chair. So this is a Wenger chair. I'm sitting with my backside a little bit off at an angle. The key thing here is that you're a little bit kitty corner, we might say, at an angle. So the tuba can rest there. Now if it rested straight up, you can see I'm not able to reach. You want to be able to lean slightly in, sitting up nice and tall, and have the mouthpiece come to you, not you reaching it. So if this was how I played and then I scrunched my midsection, that's going to cut off my tone. So we don't want that. We also don't want me stretching if it was perhaps up here and I had to reach. That's something very common too. So this is the tricky part, especially with tuba. So what you can do is you have a little bit of wiggle room to move it up and down like this. Getting my good posture going, I'm kitty corner on the chair, I'm twisting the bottom bow so it comes up a little bit. The tuba can come to me, and leaning in, I get a good posture. So the idea is that you are relaxed and fully loose in your upper body. I also am not a fan of putting the arm way over because this creates some tension right here. If you want to pull a slide, see if there's a way you can do it with keeping your shoulder more down. So with a tuba that rests on the chair is doing the work to support the horn. I like that a lot. So this is your nice good posture for that. You're leaning in a little bit and you're playing. You'll see that as I play some of the warm-up exercises with you today. The other thing is that sometimes you can use a piano bench. The piano bench is great for those of us that are larger around the belly area and those of us that might be pregnant. The piano bench works really well. You can sit and scoot the tuba out. Also, you might utilize something that I love, which is this shelf liner. This is rubberized shelf liner. You can get it at Walmart or similar. Very inexpensive. It's really sticky, and it's used to keep china, like wine glasses, in your kitchen cupboard. You can lay this across the piano bench or across the chair, and it gives you a little purchase. You can also lay it on your lap if you're resting the tuba on your legs. So this is often the case with the larger tubas. However, there is also a tuba stand. These are a little less secure, although many people use them successfully. This rests on the floor. Obviously, you rest the tuba bottom on that cushioned padding, and then you can adjust it up and down so that the tuba would then be like this out in front of you on that tuba stand. And this is also very desirable to get it out so that you can meet it where it is. Now, if you have a tuba that you're resting on your legs, this is another common way we hold it. Those would be a little bit different. With a tuba that you rest on your legs, what you want to make sure you do is stay nice and relaxed in the shoulders, and it's the same as before. You don't want to scrunch down. So again, if this were what I was doing and I came all the way down, that would be bad. So this, for me, I sit more on the edge of the chair, bring it out to my knees. Again, this shelf liner might be nice if I had slippery pants to get that purchase there, and you can see already that that's better. And I come to it. And that way, it's not straining, I'm not overreaching or squishing down. So the tuba on the lap is very common. The disadvantage here is it can be hard on the legs, and you do feel that over time. Nice and straight back, nice and relaxed. That way when I play, I have a little bit more freedom around the instrument. Again, I'm still not reaching up. So the horn on the lap or on the chair, on the piano bench, that way that something is holding that horn up to do the work for you, and you're not holding it with your arms in any way. You're just steadying it and balancing it, but you're not actually holding it up. The body or the chair are doing that work for you. Now with the euphonium, this also has a temptation to rest on your lap. And so for young students, then maybe that's okay because their waist isn't very long. I'm 5'6". I'm not exceptionally tall for a woman, but I need to hold this in the air. So if we're going with that, I'm sitting on my chair, I'm having a nice straight back, and I'm going to play the euphonium. If I were to rest it on my lap, Again, I'm only 5'6". This is too low, obviously. So you need to bring it up. You need to bring the horn to you, just like that. And you notice I'm holding it at a little bit of an angle, tucking it a little bit under that left arm. That works really well. Sometimes if this is a little bit of a strain to hold, there's pegs that you can use that go down onto the chair that hold it for you, like that tuba rest. You can use this, which is a yoga block. These are styrofoam and they sell them everywhere. Amazon, you can get this nice black one for concerts. They go here, you can rest it on there. For me, that makes it too tall, but it just depends on how tall you are. Some people use a small pillow, anything like that, a folded towel, so that you're resting it up. You want to be comfortable. And then, of course, if you're standing, then you already have that familiar posture for standing and playing. Once you've got your posture squared away, and you know that you're bringing the horn to you, and you're straight and tall and relaxed, and you're not tense in any kind of your upper body, the second area for tone on tuba and euphonium is the routine, the practicing that you're doing, what you're practicing, and how you're thinking about what you're practicing. Tone comes mostly from the throat, an open throat, lots of air. We tend to hear a lot of reference to air as tuba players, but we need to make sure that we're not blowing in unless they already have this beautiful open throat. So when I'm playing, I'm thinking of keeping this beautifully open. Again, we talked about posture. That beautifully open throat can't happen if I'm squished or reaching. That's why we need that really nice spot right where it can be the most relaxed. We also can work at an angle. I mentioned earlier that I lean in a little bit. We can lean in, and we also, as we play, especially in the low range, we move a little bit in an angle this way. So posture and angle, and knowing that there's motion, as well with tuba, there's also more motion than on the other brass instruments, and sometimes that can feel wrong to people, but make sure we allow our tubists, especially in the lower range, to have those pivots. There is more facial motion. The tuba mouthpiece is much larger. There's more room in there. So when you're thinking about playing the tuba, you sit down, I want to have better tone. What do I play? Tell me what to do. What you do is you do all these warm-up exercises, and you do it with this sense of a beautiful open throat. And you experiment. As you're playing, you open and you move your mouth and you see, does it change? The first thing you're going to do in this beautiful fundamental routine of yours, the frequency of which is going to help you to all days, all the time, you're going to do mouthpiece buzzing. Mouthpiece buzzing gets us going. I have some videos here on YouTube already about mouthpiece buzzing, and so you can watch those and buzz along with me as I play the piano. There is a beauty to mouthpiece buzzing. It gets that air moving. You can work on the open throat. That's the first step. The second step is long tones. Many of us are familiar with this idea as brass players that we play these long notes to warm up. They're designed to just let us practice holding the note. Holding the note is an active procedure. You need to work to keep it steady. We sometimes use the phrase brick of sound. So these long tones, some people make crescendos and decrescendos. I play them more straight. You do them from the mid-register, where your tone would presumably be the best, and then you do them down into the pedal register, where you want to use the middle to compare so that you can see what your goals are for intonation. So tone is about register as well. It might be great in some parts of your playing and weak in others. The long tones are going to warm us up in that early part of the practice routine and get us used to playing those beautiful bricks of sound in the easiest way, the most relaxed way. After that, we go to Flexibilities, and there's lots of great books out for flexibility study. One that I love is Deanna Swoboda's book. Then there's one by Lynn, which is a book that starts out for trumpet. You can get that on Amazon. Both of them are wonderful for that. And you play lip flexibilities. This is when you're slurring now in and out of the partials. And you're, again, practicing your angle. You're keeping strong for your angle, and you're keeping flexible and open in the throat. You're using lots of your great air, as we know to do. So you've buzzed, you've played your long tones, you've done these beautiful flexibility studies. And then we're going to make sure that we play scales, major, minor, and chromatic. Then again, you're thinking about tone, because in scales, this is when I incorporate the upper register. I started with the low and the long tones, and I worked on tone down there, and then register. And then now I'm playing major and minor scales. I usually tongue and slur, different days, different ones, and chromatics. I play the Armand chromatics. I love the Armand chromatics. And then I sometimes play them upper so that I make sure that I'm opening in the upper. The upper register on tuba is a lot more precise, right? There's the less room for error. So we need to make sure that we still remember not to get caught up in the tension of upper register and squeezing, and to keep that throat beautifully open. those notes out. And you notice that I keep gesturing to you in the middle. I think of the notes as being right there in front of me, where I can just reach and grab them. And that open throat is an extension through my fingers out into the world. As you're doing this warm-up routine, you keep coming back to tone, flexibility, all of these things where it's loose. We use this phrase relaxed power as tuba players, and that's really what we want. So you're doing these beautiful flexibilities, you're following it up by scales. By now it's the third time you've hit high and low, and you're really getting acclimated. I play Armand Arpeggios as well for these same reasons, slurred and tongue. I have those last notes, you know, yeah, blah, 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 and then I hold those last notes out and I work on that from the long tones and try to connect. As you move forward in your practice, in the routine, there's other exercises. Many people do one called a beautiful sound study, which is this repeated melody in half steps. Some of our best routine exercises are the ones that do the exact same thing and then do it a bunch of times. The same exercise and then up a half step or down a half step. So the beautiful sound study is one. I do a range extender into the upper where I tongue arpeggios up by half step. So that balances that, and many others. There's the Schlossberg book, I love for that. Lots of great arpeggiation in there. Same with Arben. You're using your etudes, your practice books, as the next phase of your practice. Do you notice, I've been talking for 5 minutes and we haven't gotten to the solo rep yet. One of the things that I notice when I work with students is the tendency to practice the solo rep most all of the time. I would say you should practice the solo rep less and do more of the fundamental routine, because they automatically make the solo sound better without you even having to touch it. The problems in that solo, maybe articulation, high register, finger flexibility, tone, those will be fixed in the warm-up things, in your Armand arpeggios, in your long tones, in your buzzing. So try to make sure that this routine is sacred and it is part of your day, just like going to the gym or walking on the treadmill might be. We've done this beautiful warm-up routine, this flexibility routine, the fundamental routine, and that is the second area of tone. The posture is the first, and this fundamental routine you're guaranteeing to get in that chair and do every day. That is how you're going to be able to achieve the tone. Okay, so we've done our posture. We promised to practice every day and get in the chair. We've done all of that. The third area is equipment. This is a tough one. The better your equipment, the better your tone. Now, keep in mind that we can have great tone on any instrument, but some of it just takes a lot more work. And if your instrument is buzzing or clicking, then obviously that's going to interfere. Can we all afford a really great horn? No. So what we need to do is work with what we have. So you should have a plan. You either already have the equipment you're going to use, or you're going to save up to buy some. And work with a professional, somebody who understands the different brands of tubas, who can advise you as to what to look for on the market. Try not to be distracted by shiny objects and things that look great. Just listen to how you sound on them. So the key thing is to get yourself somewhere where you can play a lot of different horns, like a conference. That's one of the great things about conference gatherings. We can go to the exhibit area and play lots of different horns. Talk to people. Talk to your teachers who know your playing style. Is there a horn that's going to fit right with you? And the other thing I would say is don't be afraid of the used market. I've bought many of my horns used over the years. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's not like when you drive it off the lot in the car, it loses all its value. Used horns hold up really well, and if they're cared for well, they can be a great alternative to something shiny and new that isn't of good a quality. So the equipment is sadly one of the elements of tone as well. And until you get your dream tuba or euphonium, then do the very best you can with the one you have. Now lastly, we've talked about posture, we've talked about the fundamental routine that you're promising to do every day, and we've been honest about the fact that the better the equipment, the better you will achieve success as a tubist. But the last thing is you need to find inspiration. Go and find inspiration of a performer whose tone you love, because you need to understand. You need to understand what you're going for. So you can play and open your throat, and you can buzz at the piano, and you can do all these things and go out and get a tuba that you think you sound great on, but you need to know what you're looking for, right? You need that inspiration. So listen, subscribe to YouTube channels of players that you admire, go to live events when you can, sign on to Zoom when you can, and listen and think about what colors in the tone that you like. And then we can talk about that. If there's a master class and the player is taking questions, ask them. Tell us how you describe your tone. What do you think in your practice makes the most difference? How have you achieved this? Ask them. Use those inspirations. You want to know what you're looking for. And within that, recognize that there's differences internationally in how we produce things like vibrato, which is an aspect of tone, right? And you want to understand all of that and be able to be flexible based on what your situation is and based on your horn. You're going to use your posture. You're going to use your routine. You're going to use good equipment, and you're going to get an inspiration for what your goals are. So I hope you have a great time developing your tone and that you stay well, and I'll see you soon back in studio. Take care.